What's going on, everybody? This is Jesse, South Georgia Tools, inaugural video of this channel. I'm going to be doing a review and overview of this 2-week period's MATCO tool catalog they're doing as far as the tool highlights. The dates on the catalog are 7/22 to 8/13, so it's going to cover for about 2.5 weeks. So without further ado, let's take a look. Alright, so right on the cover of the book, you have two of the service carts that they call the JSC Jamestown service carts. These are built in Jamestown, New York. You have the 480 series, which is this one. You have the 450 series, which is this one. The big difference, and you can't really see it with the glare on the page, the big difference is that the 450 series is only a 3-drawer versus the 480 series is going to be a 6-drawer with a flip top. Both of them have a flip top. These things retail at a little bit higher than this, but $1274.50 is what the 480 series is on right now. $940 is a 450 series. So now's the time to get a MATCO service cart if you're in the market for one. I think it's a pretty sweet deal. So let's go back over here. Start on this page first. We got the Infinium professional tools, the pneumatic and the battery, or just the battery power, the Infinium stuff from MATCO. You got the 20-volt cordless 1/2-inch drive impact. It's a good gun by Milwaukee. That's all I'm going to say about that. 12-volt cordless 1/4-inch impact wrench and a 1/4-inch ratchet set for $484. It's expensive. That 1/4-inch ratchet is a beast, though. They are, I want to say these are brushless motors in this, which is something that it has on Milwaukee, but Milwaukee's coming out with some new stuff. I'm not going to buy anything battery powered until Milwaukee has their new lineup that's coming out in a couple of months. But you have the 12-volt cordless 3/8 drill driver. I don't need a drill driver. I mean, if it was like an impact, then it might be a little bit different, especially for that price, because I'd certainly be more interested in it then. They are offering a kit, which is the high and low 16-volt cordless 3/8 drill driver kit, and you get a $189 cordless polisher tool only for free with that. So if you are trying to get into the Infinium kit and you want a drill maybe for the house, or if you can find a use for a drill, like if you've got a drill and tap or anything like that, any kind of broken off screws or something like that, this might be a good kit to get started, because that's not a horrible price on the kit. And then on top of that, you get the actual polisher along with that. If you actually need a polisher, it's not a bad investment. Talking about MATCO financing, they have got a Success right on the front here, 2-bay Success, just to advertise that. So that's all that is. It's talking about the financing. They have a long-handled 12-pound dead blow hammer, $157. Excuse me, guys. Not a bad deal if you need a hammer. Orbital palm sander, $166. I don't need anything like that in my business, but some people may. Trim scrapers, that's more like body shops would need something like this. I don't really have a use for it, but 62 is not a terrible price for that. Pneumatic chisel retainer, that's going to be like for your air hammers, something that actually snaps and locks in your chisel heads and stuff for your air hammers. It's a pretty nice. That's a pretty nice little thing. I'm not gonna lie, those are nice, and you get to save a little bit of money on it. So I think normally they're around, they're right up around 58 or 48, 50, 48 or $49 normally. So you save a little bit of money. Micro sanders and a random orbital sander. Again, I don't actually need anything like that, but not terrible. 8.8 liter fluid evacuator. Unless you're not emptying out your vacuum bottles, you would never need something like this unless you are using it for shop use and for doing multiple flushes a day without trying to empty it. You can get a small vacuum bottle that you can empty out after each use for about between half and a third the price. So it's a pretty, I don't see the point in this, but other people may. Spray guns for painters. They are advertising that in this catalog. I'm not a fan. I'm just not going to spend any time on them because I don't do any painting here at my shop. Stubby hex bit driver and a Torx set. So if you buy the hex bit stubby, you get the Torx for free. Really good deal. I'm probably gonna take advantage of this while they've got that on, because it actually is the MATCO branded stuff, not Silver Eagle. Probably gonna take advantage of this more than likely, because that's actually a really good deal on what that is. Syringe fluid extractor, and a little bit bigger. This is a 1.5 liter, and this one is a 200 ccl. So a little bit. This is a significantly larger one for about double the price. Long Torx. If you need long Torx, it's not a bad price. I think they normally run around 85 to 90 bucks on those, so that's not a bad price. Spray guns, blow guns, just basically just for air, spraying off your work area or floors or whatever. I do have the long one, so I can spray off the floor in my bay down at the end. It works pretty well. Not a bad investment. 3/8 flex drive head electronic torque wrench. Does 5 to 100 foot-pounds, and it does torque angle. So not too shabby, but for that price, you can come close to paying for the snap-ons. You got add like $100. You get the snap-ons that actually can convert down to inch pounds and can do all kinds of other stuff along with torque angle. So it's up to you, but that's my advice on that one. Is probably to go with the snap-on, just because of the more features on the snap-on one than this one. Cleaning a siphon gun. You can reverse suction on this. That's the only difference. It's basically exactly like this, except you can reverse the suction to start a siphon if you needed to with this. 50-foot air hose for 44 bucks. That's pretty standard stuff. This right here was something I'm going to spend a little bit of time on. This is the 3/8 drive stubby impact. This is the same stubby that I have, except for mine's a half drive. It's about the same price as what I bought my half drive for right now, which is still a pretty good deal. So if you're in the market for a 3/8 impact, or if you don't have a 3/8 impact and you were thinking about getting one, my recommendation would be this would be the one I would go with, just because it's super lightweight, it's super compact, you can fit it in a lot of different places. It's going to work a lot. It's going to work similar to a ratchet, but it's going to have a lot more torque. So it may be something, at least for taking off something you would normally try to take off with a ratchet, this may work really well for you. So I would consider it. Power probe. I just had to use my power probe today, actually. The technician rolled down a window and I told him not to roll it down, and I had to use the power probe to get the window back up. Not a terrible price on the power probe right now, $274. So check that one out if you guys need it. 54-piece universal electrical connector set. That's pretty much going right on those. Not going to see too much of a deal there. 130 amp battery tester, alternator tester. It works really well. I got to play around with one of those on my driver's truck this past week. But I have a bit more sophisticated machine that actually gives me a printout of what's going on. So good if you don't have anything like that, like a $400, $500 machine that gives you a printout. I've got two separate ones in my shop that give you a printout, so I don't really need anything like this. But it's nice to have if you need something like that. Easy Diag 2.0. This is the OBD2 scanner. Basically, this is the OBD2 that you have a mobile app for. You can use it on your smartphone, whatever. For 70 bucks, it's not too bad. There is another something similar to this. This is from Easy Diag. Is the actual, and they rebrand it for MATCO. I think it's called Fix, Fix''D, Fixed. and they make one that's about 30 bucks, and it does the same exact thing. So I would go with that because, in my opinion, it's a little bit better than this one as far as the deal goes. About half the price, but I would check that out. Running the Stinger Professional flashlights on the Streamlight Professional Series Stinger rechargeable flashlights. Got these jokers advertised here in the book. Do not list a price, talk to your driver, but they do have the new Cryptech. What they call Cryptech is the color, which is basically camouflage. So talk to your driver if you're interested in a flashlight. Water sensor wrenches, those more for diesel techs. You guys know what those are for the D-Maxes. Half-inch 4-piece SAE 5-inch long. The line sockets. So if you need line sockets, it's not a terrible deal for those actually, but I don't really need line sockets that much here in my shop. I don't deal with them a lot. 10-piece screw extractor. If you're not trying to use a drill to get something out, you just need something to get something out in a pinch. These work really well. Not a bad price on that. So if you wanted something a little bit smaller, you can try those out instead of investing in a drill and a tap and die set and all that good stuff. And a drill extractor set with the actual drill bits and everything like that. These are actually just reverse threads. You just drill or screw in just like you would to tighten, and it loosens it out. Or excuse me, just like you would to loosen it, it tightens this into the screw, and then once it gets to a point where it can hold, it'll start pulling those threads back out where you're loosening it. 3/8 drive bolt extractor set. This is actually really, really cool. They're shallow and they're thin walled. So if you in a pinch and you have a 3/8, or if you go with that 3/8 stubby impact, these would be really good if you got like a stuck-on lug nut. There's a couple of them size-wise that would fit onto the lug, like these two right here specifically would fit onto most lug nuts. Spill-free funnel. If you need a funnel, that's an expensive ass funnel, but it does come with all the universal fittings for the different OEMs to fill certain fluids, as well as radiator cap replacements for most radiator types. So not a bad deal if that's the way you were going to go. Mini ratchet and bit set. So that's actually a pretty good price for that. Check it out. File set. If you need a file set, that's actually not a bad deal. Hub grappler. That's actually a pretty beefy set for not terrible. For pulling hub assemblies and pressing bearings and stuff like that off of hubs. It's not a terrible deal for that. That's a pretty big set. It's a lot of money, so you better be prepared to spend it if you want it, but that's not a bad price for that set. And then we've got the clamping pliers. Basically this clamps down. You don't have to adjust anything. It just clamps down automatically, and there's no springs or manual adjustment that goes along with it. These aren't bad. I might go with some. I might go with there's a couple of Nip-X pair or flat nose vice grips work really well for doing exactly what these do. If you get the vice grips without teeth on them, they don't mar up the hoses, just like these aren't supposed to mar up hoses. So jump boxes. I'm not even going to talk about these because my driver has jump boxes that are not MATCO branded, that are not $400 fucking dollars. So that's that. Low side oil and dye injector. These work really, really well if you've got a sealed system you're trying to introduce some dye into, and if you've already pulled vacuum, seen what's going on, you can. If you don't want to do it through your RR machine, you can do it manually through the injector. It works pretty well. I think that Flat Rate Master talked about one of these in his video this morning that he put out. So, or not this, was it? I don't know if it was this morning or not. I watched it this morning, but I don't know when he put it out. It was about AC work. So he has one of these. He likes it. I usually do it through the RR machine if I have to do it, just because it's a little bit easier. But quantity control on these are very, very precise, so they do work pretty well. Again, another heavy duty jump box. Again, I'm not even going to waste my time on it because I get cheaper ones from my MATCO driver because they're not MATCO branded. We're just talking about this catalog. Airlift cooling system, air purge. It's not terrible, but you know, just if you have a need for it, that would be a pretty good kit to have. I don't really have a need for it because everything else is already set up in my shop for it. Fuel pressure tester. This one is for you. Who was it that was asking me about that? Nick, I think. Nick was asking me about fuel pressure testers. You don't cheap out on them. This is a pretty good one. OTC makes a good one. Snap-on makes a good one. And that's about what they run. So that's a pretty good deal because you save a good chunk of money on it. So trans and engine oil pressure kits. That's actually a pretty good price. Doesn't look like it's a really expansive kit, but these aren't bad. I prefer diamond grip versus these gloves, so I'm not even gonna spend any time. Gift shoppy type stuff. Got a lot of rat fink. A lot of you guys like the rat fink stuff. Copper mugs, little desk pin holder, mini. Basically, just it's a silhouette of a very, very miniature version of a box. It's just open at the top. You can put pins in, stuff like that. Flex fit hats, regular old snapbacks over here, and a beanie. And then on the back, they've got the get both of these sets: 3/8 drive, 10-piece metric non-slip, and the quarter drive 12-piece non-slip impact. All that for $158. That's not a terrible deal, considering that these are not Silver Eagle, these are not ADVs, these are the full-blown MATCO line in these. So that's not a bad deal if you're in the market for it. How they design them is pretty sweet. So check them out if you're interested. That's not a bad deal. So that right there has been this MATCO tool catalog from 7/22 to 8/13 of this year. So quickly in review, I think that it's a pretty good deal if you want to check out some of these things. There are a couple things in this book that I'm gonna start asking my driver about, and I'm probably going to buy before this catalog is over. There always inevitably is something that I wind up purchasing out of these books, and that's exactly what they're for. They're to tell you about a tool that you didn't know they had, or a tool that you didn't think about asking about, or giving you a good deal on something that you've needed for a while that you just have been holding off and making do without it. So sometimes these things do put you over an edge and let you decide that you want to go with something like that. I would say check out the book, check out the stuff that's in the book, ask your driver about it. Definitely, I've given my input on it, given my opinions of some things. You know, see if, and then also there are plenty of things that your driver may carry something like Monster brand or Gear Wrench or something like that. You see this and you want to see, hey, does Gear Wrench make something like that? Does Monster make something like that? Does any of the other third-party brands that you guys offer on your truck, do they have anything like that? So these books give me a lot of ideas, not only what's in them, but substitute things that lower tool brands also may offer and something like that. So I use them for a couple of different things. I try to give you guys advice. Stay tuned for a lot more content. This is going to be the channel for the polish content. Check in the description. There's going to be a link to my other channel, which is my live streaming channel. I do a lot of live streaming, a lot of communication with the community here. So if you guys want to join in that, I'm live about 5 days a week, later afternoon on the East Coast, and we have a lot of fun. So check both channels out. Hopefully you guys subscribe. If you like the video, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell notification to know when my next video goes up. If you didn't like it, hit a thumbs down. Tell me why in the comments why you didn't like it. Hopefully, so I can get better at doing these things. I do want to be good. I want to be putting good content out there, something people are going to want to watch, stick around for. So if you made it this far, you're a champion. My name is Jesse with South Georgia Tools. Thank you. Peace.